Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome out to AI Intersection. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how you can engineer a custom prompt template to help you build consistency in performing various tasks. Specifically in today's video, we're going to be discussing how you can engineer a prompt template that will then engineer a response output that will clean up a section of text and rewrite it and give it back to you in a very specific format. Now, if you what do I mean? What do I mean by that? I'll show you just real quick. So, like right now, I'm working on this article, and I've been told that the pricing sections of each of my items they're a little lengthy, and they also need to be cleaned up a little bit. And as I went through, I noticed I'm like, yeah, I see what's going on. Like they're just not the same. Like this is in paragraph form. It's a little long, hard to read. If I come to this one, this is kind of like this, that's the one I just finished. But this one right here is pretty good looking, but it's still a little hard to read. It's a little lengthy. You want to clean that up. And we want all these looking the same. We want them all the same vibe and feel. How do you do that? Well, obviously, you can go to ChatGPT and you can say to it something like this. You can give it, let me give it this section here. Actually, it looks like I'm done with most of these, but this one, for instance, I can give it to this. I can go to ChatGPT and say, or ChatGPT, or in this case, I'm going to be using Jasper, and I'm going to just give you an example of something you could say. You could say something like, I want you to simplify this. And then, as I've showed you in other videos before, whenever you send it something, an input, you want to make sure you do open parentheses, shift enter, paste, shift enter, close parentheses. By doing the parentheses, it lets the system know that you don't want to do anything with this information. You don't want to take action on this information. You just want it to understand this information. So I'm going to hit enter, and then it's going to spit me out a really nice response. Now, this works really well. Obviously, the way I engineered that prompt, that was really effective. Obviously, it's doing exactly what we want to do. Although it's still a little lengthy, and also, yeah, it's a little lengthy. Like we need to clean this up a little bit, but it's not really getting it perfectly. Now, I could come in here and I could clarify a couple things. I could say, well, can you make these points shorter? Right? We could do something like that. And it's going to come back and it's going to give us similar, but it's going to make it nice and smooth and short. Okay, that works pretty good. Now, I'm obviously going to be able to just take this and move it over as it is because that's actually perfect, exactly what I wanted. But the problem comes in is when I need to do this over a whole article. Like let's say there's 10 sections of this particular post that I'm going to have to redo this on. Well, the problem that you're going to discover real quickly is how do you do that? Because there's multiple steps involved in it. Now I could say something like, do the same thing with this. And then maybe I might put in my next one and then do the next one and do the next one. And that actually works pretty good. I was doing it on this article. The problem I ran into though is that eventually with every time you do that, the process will change slightly. And the problem when the process changes slightly is the output's going to change slightly. So that it may work great for the first like 5 or 6, but all of a sudden you're going to start noticing some differences. So for me, let me go ahead and by the way, one of the cool things with Jasper is you can erase last conversation. You can tell it to ignore certain things. I don't want it to remember this because we need to, and I'll show you why. We're going to, I want to show you this real quick. So I'm just going to tell it to forget these. By the way, if you want a link to Jasper, make sure to check out the link in the description of this video. I'm happy to help you with that. Looks like the page is refreshing for a moment. Just give me a sec. All right, so I just want to go through and have it forget a bunch of these things. these. Let's go ahead and have it forget these points. By the way, if you do need a link to Jasper, make sure you use the link in the description of this video. So let's have it forget these for a moment. Simplify this. Okay. So what we're going to be doing here is so I'm going to show you just one of the problems I ran into. One of the problems I ran into is as I started to do these iterations, they're working great, but the problem was all of a sudden they started changing. The format starts changing. So take a look at, and I'll give you an example. Look at this example here. What I started doing is I started doing hey, do in a similar fashion, do it for this one. So it seemed like it was working good. Then all of a sudden, look. Now all of a sudden, it's a little different, isn't it? Now it's got these. Now it's instead of an unnumbered list, it's a numbered list. There's all this weird spacing, and then now there's the bullet points. Now it's got all these extra bullet points, all this other information. So how do we solve this? Well, how do we solve this without having to go through the same steps for each one? This is why we build engineering templates. Okay, and this is how engineering template works. So let's go ahead and show it to you now. So let me forget this one. Actually, I don't have to forget that one. So this is how an engineering template works. Yes. And
what up, people?
So an engineering template works like this. Sorry, I repeat myself like 10 times. Actually, I'm going to take you to my engineering template library that I'm developing. So this is a template that I've engineered. So what does this template do? Here's what it does. To simplify, consolidate, and clean up a pricing section in an Envato article. Use this to properly organize, generate, and write a pricing section of an item in an Envato list. And then here I have my template. Now this is different from my template engineering process that I told you guys before. Instead of me putting it in a text document, now I'll put it in a spreadsheet. As you can see, it allows me to organize my thoughts a little more effectively and organize my prompts. So this is our new engineered prompt template to consolidate or reorganize and rewrite content in a specific format between two items. So it starts off by saying, I need you to simplify this. This is where we're going to put the content that we want to simplify. So let's come back over here. And this is the section I want to simplify and consolidate, correct? So I'm going to paste this in here. And then it says, so that's done. And then it says, for the unordered list, shorten them down to a single bullet point for each using this format. Now I'm going to actually fix this real quick because I need something more like this. Comma, for the unordered list. So close parentheses, comma, for the unordered list, shorten them down to a single bullet point for each using this format. Now, for some of you, this may look strange how this looks because it may look complicated. It's not. Okay, so what this is very similar. This is not coding. This is actually what's called conversational coding. So think of it, okay, all conversational coding is basically is that it's regular conversation, but it's written out in the format as a code. Coding has some structure to it, so there is a little adjustment you have to understand. But let me clean it up for you so you can actually see what I mean. I'm going to break this up for you. So I'm going to back this up. What I'm going to do right now is get rid of all the spaces and new paragraphs so you can see what the computer sees. Okay. Actually, so this is how, this is a little better view for you as a human, because you can see what I'm doing here. I need you to simplify this. Quote, open quote, close quote, comma, for the unordered list, comma, shorten them down to a single bullet point for each using this format. Open parentheses, close parentheses. That's the format, and there you go. So now watch what happens. You hit send, and this is the engineered response. You'll notice now that it's in the exact format that we wanted to put the output into. Now we have, and now the cool part is we can take this template and we can go back and we can use this template over and over again. So imagine if you, this is super handy. Let's say you have an article and you have 30 things that you have to do the same thing on. Well, now you can just use this template and you can just move your data over back and forth, and you'll always get the consistent, similar outputs. So hopefully that found that helpful. If you did, don't forget to share, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.